to talk about a subject that is 100% going to add value to your business, okay? When I say the word networking, we're going to network our way to a business that you love. There's usually some reasons why we would network, right? So let me start there. When we network, why do we network? And this is where I love to have interaction, so you can't throw out a dumb answer, I promise. To get business. That's like, I like this. She's going to be straight to the point, right? Get business. What are some other reasons that we would network?
Things you maybe have in common as far as passions, groups that you get.
Okay, yeah. You want to connect with somebody maybe on a different level, right? What else?
Just kind of know what somebody's about.
To know somebody deeper.
Yeah.
Build relationships. Okay, I love it. Because let's face it, you're in real estate, and I have been around the JWRE brand for a while now. If I sit under Jason's teaching, he's going to give you like a fire hydrant of ways you could get business, right? There's a million different ways. If that's really our main goal, right, networking, is to get business, why would we work on this skill of networking when we could just go and buy leads? We could just go and door knock. We could go and do open houses. There's all these different things we could do. I'm going to subscribe to the idea that networking is the best possible way to build your business, okay? And if you do it in the right way. Now, when I say networking, you're going to have thoughts already. There's already these kind of, in some cases, maybe even some nightmares of going to a networking event. We're going to touch on those in just a second, okay? I'm going to prove to you why networking the right way could lead to the business that you love, okay? So you have to do the math. Of course, the guy that does financial, the financial world is always going to have something to do with math. So bear with me here. It's been proven that pretty much everybody has 150 people that they know, okay? Know well enough to put them into, oh man, it just went too fast. You know 150 people, and those people know 150 people. So right under your nose right now, there's access to 22,500 people. Have you ever stopped to think about it like that? It's a pretty big number. Now, if you take it one step further, the NAR says that every 5 years on average, people will move. Okay? So if we take this number, we say 1/5 of these people will move this year, that's 4,500 moves. That's also a big number. How many of you had 4,500 closings last year? None of you? Okay. Then maybe this will be helpful to you, okay? Now, I realize that moves do not equal closings for everybody. That could be somebody moving into a nursing home. That could be somebody moving to college. That could be somebody, renting apartments, so on and so forth, right? I know that's not a 100% number. But let me just add this. If those 4,500 moves was someone buying a home and selling a home, right? We call those, what do they call those? MEOPs, right? Or they actually had something to sell and then they're buying something else. You're able to help them on both sides of that. That's 9,000 transactions this year. Do you think there's some value in maybe taking our database and mining it to look for these 9,000 transactions? That's the big why we would even spend this time over the next 45 minutes to an hour diving deep and saying, maybe the way I network could uncover more of these opportunities, right? Okay, everybody in so far? Okay, good. Stick with me here. All right, so there's usually a reason why we don't network, okay? This is where I also need your help. Why don't we network at a super high level? What are some things that stand in our way? Awkwardness. Thank you for pointing that out. Why do you say awkwardness?
Because it's awkward. Go and start talking to a stranger. Because if you're going to network to get business, just going straight up and diving in, they may not think you're a real genuine person when you really are. It's just that awkward getting to know, hey, put myself out there.
Most of the time,
Great
it's
point.
in the family time too.
Right, because these events are at times that are after hours. Okay. What else?
Busy, not having the time. That is that small.
Not having time.
Awkward.
Yeah.
The small talk.
I don't mind getting to the point. The small talk.
I'm shocked that you would say that, Kendall.
Just give me your
I'm
business.
shocked.
That's all. Just give me your business.
Just give me your business.
I think just pure sometimes exhaustion in our business. We have to always be on. And
That's right.
We always have to have a smile on our face and make chit chat. And not that I don't care about you, but sometimes I'm just really busy, and so it's the end of the day is like wiped out.
Yep,
and so
I'm
to do
done.
those things at the evening sometimes is
Especially like how y'all did the steak cook-off on Friday evening. I'm like, I'm done. For
Yeah.
the week. Like I need to
I'm tapped
I
out.
didn't get the back, so I didn't have
I need to do
chit chat
nothing right now.
the whole night.
So a lot of what you guys are talking about are at events, right? Things that were either planned by someone else that you're now attending or something along those lines. And I love that you led with the fact that it's awkward. How many people have been to like a Chamber of Commerce meeting? Okay. Or you could say that's like the meat market, right? You go in there, there's about 70 other realtors there, and you're all talking to each other, and you're like, why am I talking to a bunch of realtors right now? I don't understand. That's that awkwardness that we've all felt. You know, everybody's just sitting there just throwing cards at you, right? Here, meet me. And you get a bunch of these memes, talking to you. Well, on the way out, they're just taking those cards and just dumping them straight in the trash, right? That's the things that kind of the head trash when we talk about networking that stand in the way. Because who wants to continue to build business like that? It's awkward, like you said. Thank you for pointing that out. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about how to change the game on that and to think differently about that process and less about how can I attend everybody else's networking event and how can I create my own networking process. Okay, so everybody good with that? Okay, why in the world do you have, this is my beautiful family here, my wife and my 4 little girls. I've joked about this in Orange Beach and Mobile, but this is my modern day Little Women situation. If you guys haven't seen that recent special that's come out, it's like, gold. Watching my little girls watch that. Anyway, why am I passionate about networking? Number one, I was in the mortgage business for 11 years, and so I've been right where you're at, and I still am to this day, technically, having to network my way to a business that I love. But I learned some things, and I'm going to highlight these things from, this is the book, The 7 Levels of Communication by Michael Mure. Anybody read this book already? Okay, good. Okay, we're going to actually give away some of these books too, so stay tuned on that. But I learned some things from going through a process of reading this book, joining a mastermind group, and a whole deal. This is probably 8 years ago. And by implementing some of the things in this book, I actually had to hire a junior loan officer and an assistant just to keep up with the business. And then I ended up having to stop doing some of the activities because it got to be too busy. In fact, as I was preparing for this, I realized how few of the things I'm going to be teaching you today that I've actually continued to do that I need to get back to. So just full disclosure, okay? But the other part why I'm passionate about this and teaching real estate professionals is because if you're more successful, guess what? I happen to have a company that's called Wealth Without Wall Street. And our process is to help real estate professionals take the wealth, the income that they're creating, and create wealth. So if I can make you more successful, I know a guy that can help you grow that wealth. And the first part of our process is to invest in yourself. So what you're doing right now is investing in yourself. You're taking time out of your day. You could be out doing something else, and you're trying to learn something that will aid you in growing your business. We also highlight highly that your best investment may be coaching, okay? So I know you get coaching here at JWRE. Many of you are in coaching with Tom Ferry and other coaches. You cannot beat the investment of taking $1 and investing it there and getting 10 back. There's nothing on Wall Street or off Wall Street that you can put money in that's going to give you that kind of return, okay? So I'm a huge proponent of those things. The second thing is invest in your business, and I'm so grateful. Owen and I were talking earlier that he's building a team right now, and so many real estate professionals are doing this. And it's such a unique thing. Here you are, you're in a business that you're creating income from. You're getting your livelihood being paid for through what you do every day. And simultaneously, you can be building a business that one day could pay you passively as you step away from it. There is very, very, very few other opportunities in life that you can do that with. If you think about it, you may be employed somewhere else, and then you say, oh, well, I want to start a business. Well, what does that require you to do? I have to go outside of what my day job is to spend time, energy, money, effort over here in this side business that has to get off the ground and go through the first 5, 10 years, whatever, to be profitable, to then have a business that I own. You get to do both at the same time in real estate. You cannot beat that investment. So the third process of what we do is by taking the cash that you're going to be using all along the way to invest in yourself, like what you're paying for coaching, investing in your business as you are creating loyal team members in your business. All these things take cash, and you can fuel your own personal pension plan, which we can help you to know the way to do that at the same time. So I'm all about efficiency. And again, in real estate, you have a unique opportunity and ability to do all the above. So we're not going to talk about all this today. I just wanted to give you the reason why in the world this financial guy is talking about networking. Okay, let's get to the process of what it takes to build your network. So in the book, and I'm not going to cover all of the details in the book. I'm just going to highlight maybe 6 or 7 things that I personally got a lot of value out of. And there's way more in the book, okay? So just know that going into it. But I tried to kind of put it into categories to help us have some jumping off points. So the first thing, put it on your calendar. Number one, I mentioned this before, a lot of times we have passive things that have been brought to us and said, hey, join us for drinks after work. This is our networking opportunity. It's an event that someone else has put on that you can attend or not. When I'm talking about putting this on the calendar, I'm talking about creating an opportunity for you to network on purpose within your database every single week, okay? We're going to get to what that looks like in just a minute. The second thing is ask great questions with a heart to learn and understand. And so when you have these meetings set up on your calendar, how you enter into that meeting is going to make all the difference in the world. The third thing, give, and give some more. I don't see the legs.
It's downstairs.
Okay, I don't see the legs thing, but you guys learn, earn, give, and serve. So this is right in line with your culture, and it's obviously in line with my culture. So we're going to get into this. Okay, first thing, putting on your calendar, an hour of power. That's what Michael Mayer talks about in the book. This is an hour, as many days of the week as you can afford, okay? So maybe it's 3 days to begin with, maybe it's 4 days, but you're going to have 1 hour set aside every day you put on your calendar, and all you're going to do is call your most influential clients or personal friends, family members, whatever it might be, and you're going to ask to be connected to the people that you need to learn more about, okay? So for instance, let's say you all needed to meet a guy that does creates custom closets. Well, you have this guy, Jerry. He got to come up here. He got to share about what he does. But let's say that you want to become the resource that your clients, your friends, family, all look to for a number of different services, okay? That's going to create a lot of value. And so what you need to be thinking about is, who do I need to know that I don't already know in XYZ category? Maybe it's a mechanic. Maybe it's a retail store that's specific to this area. Maybe it's a restaurateur that you really want to add value to them and you feel like they're very connected, so on and so forth. Think about all the service providers. You may already have a go-to title person. If you don't, get one. Find somebody that you can grow that relationship with. And so what you're doing is when you call your database, the phone doesn't feel like 1,000 pounds. Okay, you ever heard that story, that thought? Michael Mayer says that when you go to pick up that phone and you're about to make a call that's all about me, it feels like 1,000 pounds. But when you're calling somebody to say, hey, I really want to get to know someone else who I can bless with referrals, that is an easy call to make. Not only that, the person who you're calling is actually really fired up to make that connection, right? Who doesn't want to help a good friend of themselves to connect to another great friend? But we don't always ask, do we? So this hour of power, it makes it very, very simple. You may talk to 5, 6, 10 different people in that hour, and all you're doing is saying, hey, listen, I really want to meet a great mortgage lender that I can start sending referrals to. Who is it that you know that I could connect with? I want to take them to lunch and get to know them more about their business and how I can send them referrals. That's just a made-up script, but you get the point. It's all about calling for their benefit. And then when you say, well, I know so-and-so, okay, how would you rate them on 1 to 10? Oh man, they're like an 11. They're fantastic. You will love this guy or this girl, whoever. That's the kind of people that you want to get in touch with, okay? So that hour of power, it's not brain science, but it's specifically putting that on the calendar so you make it a priority, okay? The second thing, and this is what feeds into the second deal, the hour of power feeds your network stack. I'm going to give you the picture of what a network stack looks like, okay? When I started doing this, and you read this in the book, you identify a restaurant that you love and you want to support, okay? Then I figure out if there's a place that has either a private booth or a private table or something along those lines that you can go and you can frequent on a weekly basis, okay? Now you have to talk to the owner ahead of time and let them know that you're going to do this because it does seem kind of crazy. But what you're going to do is you're going to say, hey, listen, I want to come to your restaurant and I want to introduce new people to your restaurant every single week. I want to bring at least 3 people a week in here. I need a spot to park from 11:30 to about 3. Will you have a problem with me being in here? Because if they want to turn over the tables over and over again, you don't want to be in their way. Anything come to mind, by the way, around town that you guys maybe have gone to that kind of fits that description? A restaurant?
They don't let you occupy the table for that long.
Yeah. Nothing right over. Okay, that's your homework. Okay, so you have to kind of try to think through that. I found a little steakhouse in Homewood where basically they had this private room in the back and had a round table with a TV on the wall, really like professional looking. And I went to the owner and just explained what I wanted to do. Lunch was their slower part of the time because it's a steakhouse, so mostly they did dinner type stuff. And he was happy to have somebody come in and use the space because he said, only if there's like some major, event would I not be able to accommodate this. So week in and week out, you have to picture this. You have somebody you bring back to this private area at 11:30 to 1, you're just doing lunch and I'm going to talk through the questions you're going to ask, okay? At 1 o'clock, you have the second person to show up and you're there to connect the person you just had lunch with to the person that's going to be meeting you at 1 o'clock. Okay? So right off the bat, you're adding value to the person that you just met with and the person you're about to meet with. You become immediately it's a status symbol to a certain degree that this person is connected. Wow, look at this. They're meeting with 2 people right now. Not to mention, if you're consistently going back to the same place, the staff knows your name. Everybody remember the show Cheers? Right? Everybody walks in, everybody's like, yeah, that's so-and-so. You get to know the owner, you get to know the staff. They're like, hey, Joey, do you want the same thing as last week? You want the same drink? They start to know what you like. It just has an appeal that person you're just meeting for the first time says, wow, this guy's legit, or this girl knows what she's doing, So that's the idea of the network stack. And it's efficient for you that they all come to you at the same time, at the same place. And again, you're building that kind of that star status where you're at, okay? It's a little weird, right? It's a little different, but it definitely challenges some of the things we've always done. And again, that's on your calendar so that you are consistently making it a priority and blocking that time off. The last thing is housewarming parties. I know you probably have done these in the past. How many people do housewarming parties? I used to. See, that's what I got to get back on the train with some of this stuff. Housewarming parties. There's actually, when you read the book, there's a downloadable that will walk you through exactly what steps to take to make a housewarming party super dynamic. When I was in the mortgage business, I did this and partnered with 3 or 4 different realtors to make this happen. And so throughout the process, this becomes part of what you're talking to with your clients. Hey, listen, as a thank you for doing business with us, we want to make sure and throw a housewarming party for you. After you get settled and all that, we always set it for 30 to 45 days after the closing so they can get stuff hung on the walls and get things cleaned up, so on. But what would happen is we just say, all we need from you is the people that you would want at the housewarming party, their contact information. And then what we do is we send out unique custom invitations. We send out an evite, to make sure we have a good head count, so on and so forth. I was the mortgage person, so I was bringing the food. So you as the realtor, you show up. Where else would you rather be than to be 2 hours at the person's house that you helped find, and now you're the hero, right? What do you think that person is going to talk about the whole time? You. Now you're there to serve them. You've brought them food. You may even bring some door prizes, things like this. And you also are introduced to the people that they love and respect the most.
And you have all their information because you
Sent them invitation. That's right. Okay?
So you don't even have to have an awkward sign-in sheet.
That's right. Exactly. So this is not easy work. I'm not going to lie. Okay? It's somewhat of a task of keeping up with, do we get all the contact information? Have we sent out the invitations? Like, it's a process. But when we did this, it was extremely powerful because, again, you are right there in the mix. You have this star power at that point. And you'd be surprised how many people were like, you know what? I love this neighborhood. I can't believe I came over here. Do you know any other places around here? I'm thinking about moving. There's all these conversations happening at the same time. Okay. This is not brain science. It's just something to bring you into focus of, man, if I just spent these 2 hours doing this, how much more efficient am I going to be to get the referrals and the relationships that I'm looking for? Okay. All right. So the second step is to ask great questions with a heart to learn and understand. So think through, you're sitting in that network stack, okay? And remind me your name is Megan? Megan. Okay. Megan brought up, it's awkward, okay? What do you talk about? You're at the chamber. What's the first question that ever comes out of people's mouth?
What do you do?
So what do you do? I don't know. What do you do? What do you do? I mean, it's just the constant, that's all, this is the level here, sea level, you're just staying right here, right? Nobody's going deep. There's a couple of things that he talked about, whether you're at an event or at this network stack, that you want to use immediately. The frog example. You may have heard something like this. This isn't new. But when you're talking to somebody, you want to envision a frog sitting on their head. Okay? It's kind of cheesy. You see the frog, and it should remind you, I need to ask about their family. I need to ask them what recreation do they do outside of work. Then we talk about occupation, and then goals or dreams. Okay? So fraud didn't sound as good, so do what?
We do it for Ford.
Yes, it's the same concept. Okay? Whatever works best for you, I'd like to think about a frog. But the point is it forces you to, one, make the conversation all about them, and two, to go deeper than just what someone does. Because aren't we at the base level, we're all way more than what we do for a living, right? In fact, who was it that brought up connecting? You said, Lane, right? I want to learn about this person. This right here will challenge you to go deeper, okay? One story I'll share, my business partner, I was telling him about what we were doing. He was like, oh, I got a great story about that. He went to a networking event. He started using this, and he met this girl. I think she was doing something like broadcasting, or it was something that was totally unrelated to anything that would benefit my business partner. But he said, you know what, I'm going to try this out. He starts using it, and he gets to the recreation part and finds out that this lady loves to do kayaking instruction, okay? So he said, wow, tell me more about that. and she actually does these tours for people. Well, he gets so excited about it. He's like, well, he works a lot with dentists. He puts together a group of about 10 dentists. They all go up to the Ocoee and do this retreat. And now it's been an every year thing because they love it. They just build rapport with each other. They get to know each other better. It gets them outside of their element. And, most dentists don't get out that much. So they're getting out there in the Ocoee, having a blast, and it just has meant the world to his business. There's no telling how much business has come from him meeting that girl and just asking her, what does she do outside of work? So just a little something there. Okay, this is my favorite part here. So this is the frog is great. The second is that there's 3 questions that if you make this a part of any relationship, you will see incredible results, just the depth that you can go with people. So the first one is, what's your greatest challenge? What's your biggest challenge right now? Okay. If I was planning on maybe like having you guys talk to each other about this, but I said, no, we're not going to do that. When I ask somebody that question, 9 times out of 10, this is what happens. Someone stops and they do this. They look up at the ceiling. I cannot explain it, but if you do it, test it, okay? The next time you talk to somebody, ask them this question, and it's almost like automatic. They're just like...
I just did it, and I was thinking about it.
Okay, but I laugh about that, but really what it tells me is people typically don't have to think about a response because they already know you're going to ask them something that's just baseline, right? Just top level. When you ask somebody this question, they're going to immediately either go personal or business, right? Because someone's dealing with something right now, and it's just a matter of you uncovering it. In fact, I've even had this when I've asked people, what's your biggest challenge? They'll ask me, you mean like personally or business? I'm like, whatever's biggest to you. And then they'll let you have it, however, it's like they kind of open up the floodgates. Just last week, we were meeting with a real estate investor group out of Birmingham. They've done probably 240 real estate transactions where they go and buy a home, fix it up, put a tenant in, and then sell it to an investor, okay? So this is a very well-oiled machine, and we were kind of meeting with them trying to see, is this something we could start connecting our clients to for passive income? That's something that we do a good bit. And so we're asking them questions throughout, just more top level. What do you do? What's your process? Blah, blah, blah. We get to the tail end of the meeting, and I asked them the question, so what's your biggest challenge right now? And it was almost like, something like a weight lifted off of the room. Like it was all business and just serious and kind of feeling us out. Me and my business partner were there, feeling us out. And all of a sudden it was like, he kind of like rose up a little bit. He was like, well, do you mean like personally or business? And literally the whole entire meeting just changed at that point. And he's like asking us back and all this kind of stuff. This tells somebody that you really care more about them as a person than them as a target or as some way to get what you want, right? So anyways, I highly recommend this simple question. The second thing, and this is going to be great for the men in the room, okay? What have you done so far?
This year.
Well, in light of this first question. So what's my biggest challenge? They tell you their challenge. The next question, you cannot try to fix it. Okay? Anybody married men in the room? Okay. When your wife tells you that she's dealing with something and you just want to immediately fix it, this is the question that stops you, right? Never had that problem? Maybe I'm the only one, okay? But this forces you to not assume, right? When someone says, oh, yeah, well, I'm just having a hard time getting the word out about what I do. Well, you can immediately assume that means, oh, they need a marketing group that they can help, blah, 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 blah. It could mean something totally different. So this really helps you to say, well, what have you done so far? And then they talk. Again, this is about them. Am I going into this with a heart to learn and understand or to tell and make it about me? right? That's something I can't check you on. You have to check yourself, right? But what have you done so far? And then the last one.
Hey, Joey, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Does anybody ever kind of get offended at yours, like they
About the
say,
biggest challenge, or?
like what have you done so far? Because I know you've probably asked us 1,000 times. Does anyone ever say, well, that's none of your business? You know what I mean? Like, take it like you're saying that they haven't, if they would do more about their biggest challenge, they could fix it themselves? Just curious.
Maybe I haven't picked up on that, but typically they really value it because it's like, okay, well, I guess I've done this and this. Like they start kind of just repeating stuff that they've done. You could say, what have you tried so far? What have you done so far about that problem? In any case I've ever done this, it's always come back positive.
I think it's tonality. Depending
Yeah.
on your tone, on how you ask the question.
Absolutely. The
What
nonverbal
have
part.
you done so far could come off aggressive, or it could come off as, lighter.
Yeah. And so that leads into the third question is, what is your next step? So we already now know what the challenge was, what they've done so far, what they've tried already, and then what do you have in mind? What are you thinking about doing next? Again, I can't reiterate, to me, this is so powerful because I just want to jump in there and offer a solution. Like if it's uneasy, like there's a conflict. I'm kind of a peacemaker personality type. Oh, well, let me connect you with somebody because they can help you with this, right? This says, I really value what you've already done. I value you as a person, and I don't want to assume. And so then, bang, they go in and they say, well, I'm thinking about just hiring an assistant because this would help me, blah, 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 blah. If they want your input, they'll ask for it, right? They'll open the door for you to do that. And by the way, the more you have conversations like this, and the more proactive you are about networking with people who are other connectors in your city and in your area, your resource value will grow immensely. I can't tell you how many times I would walk out of a meeting with somebody and be thinking to myself, wow, I had no idea that this person did this, this, and this. There's so many people in my network that need to know this person. It's just amazing the more you spend time really doing that. Now, the other thing will happen is if you take these questions in this order, you start out with kind of the icebreakers about the frog, and then you go into these challenge questions, you will, at the end of the meeting, run out of time. 9 times out of 10, okay? And it's kind of a funny meeting because they'll be like, hey, you know what? Unfortunately, I think we're almost out of time. But I'm really grateful to know you, get to understand these things about you. And what they will say is, oh my gosh, all we did was talk about me the whole time. I don't even know what it is that you do. You know what? We'll have another meeting at another time. I'm happy to do that. But what he talks about in the book is that you have a 1-page that outlines your services, what you do, and he kind of walks you through what needs to be on there, what doesn't need to be on there. And you say, this is what I do, here you go. I'm happy to connect with other people like yourself, so on and so forth. The whole meeting is about them, and it's just like, how many people have showed up at like a birthday party and you didn't bring a gift, right? Or let's change that. Let's say it's a Christmas party, okay? A bunch of friends are getting together at a Christmas party, and you don't come with a gift, and your best friend walks in and says, oh my gosh, Merry Christmas. I got this for you. What do you feel like at that moment?
Oh, yeah.
You feel like a complete tool, right? You're walking in empty-handed, and it's almost like this reciprocal thing is going on, right? We're unequal right now. Like the scales have dropped towards me, and I don't know what to do with it. That's what each one of these meetings feels like. It's a little awkward, I'm not going to lie. But they want desperately to give back. It's really a funny thing. Anyway, so these are the questions that if you just learn these, try them out. I promise you it's pretty amazing. Okay, the third step in this networking is to give, and give some more. And there's 3 things that I want to highlight. He talks about a ton more. But the big challenge that I'll have for you is right now I can ask anybody in this room, what's your goal this year on closings? right? How many buy side do you want to be? How many list side do you want to have? What do you want to focus on this year? What's your goal dollar-wise? I mean, you have all these goals, right? I know at JWRE you're going to have them, okay? But if I ask you what's your giving goal this year, how many would even know what I'm talking about? So you have that, okay? Not from a dollar perspective, but how many referrals do you want to give this year? Okay? If we're talking about networking our way to a business we love and building referrals, what Michael Mayer says is you have to give twice as many referrals as you want to receive. It's a 2 for 1, okay? So think about it this way. If I want to receive 100 referrals this year, I'm going to make it my goal to give 200 referrals. Okay? And you track what's important to you. So, again, I've gotten away from this, and I need to get back to it. But you have a board, and you keep up with how many referrals have I made. And you start tracking that, and it's amazing. It's almost like it will even itself out, and you will have the referrals that you wanted to get. So having a giving goal, that's something that is brand new to a lot of people. And, again, it's all about how many referrals you can give. The second thing is the great retrace, and I love this, okay? Next time that you get referred somebody, I want you to think about who was it that connected you to that person to begin with, okay? So that person was referred to you by a past client, okay? So you're going to call that past client and say, man, I can't thank you enough. So-and-so called me this week. Sometimes it's very proactive. Sometimes it's just like, hey, so-and-so told me to call you, and you didn't even know that they referred you, okay? So you're just calling to thank them for the referral. The next step is to say, okay, well, how did I get connected to that past client, right? And now you're tracing it back to someone else that referred you to that person. Now you pick up the phone and call that person. Hey, so-and-so, I know it's been a while. Hope you're doing well. Listen, I just wanted to make sure you know how you referred me to so-and-so years ago? We ended up closing on that house, and they just referred me to one of their friends and family. I can't tell you that if you wouldn't have done the first step, I never would have met these two people, and I can't thank you enough for connecting us. I just thought you should know. Okay, so this is a super cool thing. It's all about giving back, and it just creates this bond with your referral sources that you can't deny. Okay.
How often do you work your statements for your SOI?
Well, that's the part that I need to get back to, right? The things I'm talking about today, I need to get back into following up with all those folks. The Great Retrace to me is the best possible way to stay in touch with those folks. I can trace back right now, probably 20 to 25% of my client base came to me as a result of one person, and that's Jenny Williams. Many of y'all know her from Birmingham. Y'all went to her mastermind in December. I call her all the time to thank her for 3 and 4 and 6 people ago. And she is just constantly referring people to me because I think she knows I value it. To your point, I think there's a lot more systems out there that will tell you how often to keep in touch. There's the 33 touch and all these kind of things. So I don't know necessarily what's the best on that. But the people that refer you the most should at least hear from you probably once a month. The last thing on this is using power notes. Handwritten notes, as we know, are super, super valuable in today's scenario because nobody does them, hardly ever. Everything's electronic, text, email, so on and so forth. So a handwritten note is huge. Now, he adds a couple of elements that I think make it even more impactful, and I'll just mention those real quickly. He says to use blue ink because it says something about authenticity. Okay, so use blue ink. He says to write rightly. Okay, so if this is horizontal, he says kind of write it to where it goes upwards to the right-hand side. Okay? He said that kind of elicits positivity and success. Like everything you know that's moving upward is growing, it's getting better, so on and so forth. So even the way you're writing your note is saying something about positivity. On the power notes, he says there's a lot of power in writing a PS that has a call to action. Okay? So maybe you've just met with somebody and you're so grateful. Oh, the other part is you want to make it obviously all about them. hey, you do this. I'm so grateful to know you because you are this way. You're highlighting something about their personality or something that you really value. Like for me, it might be organization or details that I'm not necessarily the best at. So if I meet somebody like that, I obviously want to champion that about them. But the other part is this PS, having a specific call to action. Like, hey, thought about you today, about something specifically I wanted to cover with you. Call me when you get a chance. Okay? Well, obviously you have to have a reason for them to call you, so make sure that you have a reason for them to call you. But it may just be, I just wanted to introduce you to somebody I had lunch with yesterday. I really feel like they would help you grow your business. Again, you're just adding value and you're getting multiple interactions with the people that mean the most to you. Okay? So, this is not, again, world-rocking, new type stuff. It's just a systematic way to be thinking about building this business. All right, so moving on. If you want to enter to win a copy of the book, again, this is the book, 7 Levels of Communication. I'm going to be sending them out next week. So to enter, I'm going to give away 5 copies, okay? So you have 5 chances to win. And then, so you're going to text to this number, 571-777-0553, the word 7 levels, okay? That's going to get you entered in, and we'll go ahead and pull a drawing for that next week, and I'll send those out to you guys. Full disclosure, when you do this, you will get other information from us. So you can always unsubscribe at any time, but I just want you to know you'll get some really ridiculously cool stuff. Our podcast updates, our blog updates, things like that you can get access to.
What if we're already on your email list?
That's fine. Totally fine.
Because I am too.
Okay. And if you don't want to enter in for the book, you can also text the word passive income to the same number. And that's, hey, I'd like to learn a little bit more about what you're doing, Joey. We have a video series. We have a lot of stuff there. But if you text passive income to the same number, you can get that if you're not interested in the book. Totally get it. Okay, so at the end of the day, this is a picture of what I want you to think about yourself. You have the ability to become the connector amongst a sea of people that know and trust you in your network. Okay? That's what success looks like when you do this the right way. This is what it looks like when you don't. You're that guy sitting at his desk, wondering where the next deal is going to come from, or making a million calls, getting hung up a bunch of times, door knocking, whatever it might be, when you have a gold mine under your nose. Okay? So I don't want you to be running on fumes like this guy on his iPhone, whatever battery. Okay? So that's what I have for you. Awesome. Well, thank you guys for having me again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.